Imagine eating the exact same foods every single day, not because you couldn't afford anything else, but because your entire culture believed variety made you weak. That was Sparta, a society where food wasn't pleasure, it wasn't comfort, it wasn't choice. Food was training, a form of discipline you swallowed every morning and every night. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. For all the movies and documentaries about the Spartans, we actually have very few detailed descriptions of what they ate day to day. But the fragments we do have, from generals, poets, travelers, and even critics, reveal a diet so intentionally strict that it reshapes almost everything we think we know about Spartan life. Today, you're going to see exactly what Spartans ate as children, as adults, as soldiers, and during their rare celebrations. And once you understand their food system, you'll understand the Spartan mind in a way movies never show. Let's step into the Spartan kitchen. The Agoge, what Spartan boys ate. To understand Spartan food, you start with the boys, because hunger wasn't a side effect of training. It was the training. Spartan boys entered the Agoge around age 7. From that day forward, everything changed. Their hair was cut short, their beds were made from reeds they collected themselves, and their diet? Carefully calibrated shortage. Plutarch writes that boys were given exactly enough food to grow, but never enough to feel full. The goal was to teach them endurance, discipline, self-control, and the ability to function while hungry. Their meals were simple: barley porridge, a small piece of cheese, seasonal figs when available, and water, always cold and always plain. They were encouraged to steal food, not because stealing was virtuous, but because stealth was a battlefield skill. If they were caught, they weren't punished for theft. They were punished for getting sloppy. The Agoge taught boys that hunger wasn't an emergency. It was a teacher, a companion, a lifelong training partner. The Spartan warrior began with an empty stomach. Adult men, the common mess halls. If Spartan boys were shaped by hunger, Spartan men were shaped by unity, and their food enforced it every single night. Once a boy became a man and earned citizenship, he joined the Syssitia, the communal mess halls where every Spartan male ate. This wasn't optional. You couldn't skip dinner. You couldn't sit apart. You couldn't cook your own meals at home. Every Spartan warrior ate the same bread, the same meats, the same wine, the same black broth. The mess hall was more than a dining room. It was a political institution, a military unit, a brotherhood, a daily reminder that no Spartan was above another, not by wealth, not by appetite, not by personal preference. Meals were deliberately plain, deliberately repetitive, and deliberately portioned. Nothing in excess, nothing indulgent. A full stomach made you slow. A varied diet made you crave comfort. Comfort, in Spartan philosophy, made you vulnerable. So they removed comfort entirely. Women's diet, the exception that shaped the future. Here's something movies never show. The best food in Sparta didn't go to the warriors. It went to the women. Why? Because Spartan society believed that strong mothers created strong children, and strong children created strong warriors. So unlike most Greek city-states, Spartan women ate larger meals, consumed more fats and oils, had better access to fruits and nuts, drank wine mixed with water, and enjoyed foods meant to support pregnancy and long-term health. Their meals often included barley cakes with olive oil, fresh cheeses, figs, and sometimes more meat than men received. Spartan women weren't warriors on the battlefield, but their bodies were considered the forge that built every soldier. Their nutrition was part of military strategy. The truth about Black Broth. Everyone knows the legend. Now it's time for the reality. Black broth, or melistsomos, was Sparta's most iconic dish. It was made from pork, salt, vinegar, and blood from the slaughtered animal. Foreigners hated it. One visitor said, "Now I understand why Spartans do not fear death." But here's the truth. Black broth wasn't a punishment. It was an equalizer. It delivered protein, iron, salt, electrolytes, everything a soldier needed for recovery after training. It also symbolized Spartan values. No luxury, no waste, no softness. It was the opposite of indulgence. It was survival in a bowl. And for Spartans, that was the point. What Spartan soldiers ate on campaign. Here is where the Spartan diet becomes pure strategy. When out on campaign, Spartan soldiers traveled lighter than other Greek armies. Their rations included dried barley bread, salted pork, olives, dried figs, hard cheese, and a small amount of wine. This wasn't improvisation, it was a system. Barley biscuits could last months. Salted pork could survive the journey. Figs and olives provided sugar and fats in a compact form. They ate twice a day, small, calculated meals, enough to move, fight, march, and endure. Xenophon notes that Spartans could go without food longer than other Greeks and still maintain discipline. Their advantage wasn't strength alone, it was resilience under deprivation. Festival feasts, the rare taste of abundance. After all that strictness, here comes the twist. Spartans knew how to feast. They just rarely allowed themselves to do it. During festivals like the Hyacinthia, the Carnea, and the Gymnopaedia, their tables changed dramatically. Roasted goat and pork, fresh wheat bread, honey cakes, seasonal fruit, wine, and rich stews. For a few days a year, they experienced abundance. But these feasts weren't about indulgence. They were about balance. They reminded Spartans what they were sacrificing. They reinforced gratitude. And they strengthened social bonds at a scale no daily meal could match. These were the moments when Sparta felt human again. And then, just as quickly, discipline returned. What their food tells us about their world. At this point, you've heard what the Spartans ate. Now here's the bigger question. Why does it matter? Because Spartan food was never about taste. It was about identity. Their diet shaped their discipline, their unity, their endurance, their view of luxury, their suspicion of excess, their ability to suffer without breaking. The Spartan appetite wasn't for food. It was for resilience. Their meals were a reflection of their worldview. Hunger builds clarity. Simplicity builds strength. Shared meals build loyalty. And an occasional feast reminds you what you're fighting for. No other Greek city-state structured its entire society around the philosophy of controlled hunger. Sparta didn't just train warriors. Sparta engineered them, 3 meals at a time. Now you know the truth. Spartans weren't defined by what they ate, but by what their food taught them. And if you really want to understand their power, you don't look at their battles. You look at their table.